All right, everybody. Thank you for your patience. This is Talkin Ball Postgame Live with Pat Leonard, New York Daily News NFL columnist and Giants beat writer here from MetLife Stadium. What a postgame this was, writing multiple stories for the New York Daily News, churning it out after a busy locker room, talking to Jackson Dart, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Cam Scattaboo, you name it. A lot of Giants players sticking around after this one, and for good reason. The Giants scrape their season off the mat, dig it out from the ashes, 21-18 win over the previously undefeated Los Angeles Chargers. A ferocious pass rush, but obviously the headline here is that this team was teetering on the brink of disaster this week, coming off of a sudden quarterback change by a desperate head coach in Brian Daboll, and the lingering question going into the game based on conversations with sources, players in and outside the locker room was how the team would respond when it faced adversity in this game, especially because it felt like there was legitimate skepticism. There didn't just feel like it, there was, about how this was going to look. Was this change putting the team in the best position to win? And what we saw on the field and what we heard in the locker room afterwards is that this team does have pride. This team, as Kayvon Thibodeau said, he felt like they've played with belief all season, but he felt like they played with full belief for 4 quarters in this game. Kayvon acknowledged that with the rookie starting, he said upstairs felt like it was going to light a spark. It did. We got the win. Jackson Dart said himself that the defense carried the team today. The offense, of course, had a great first scoring drive. Jackson Dart helping the team and the crowd believe and get into it early with a 15-yard touchdown rushing, capped an 80-yard drive where they marched down the field. Neighbors Scattaboo and Dart, the only people to touch the ball on that opening drive, making sure they get the ball in Neighbors' hands. Of course, a huge setback suffered in this game that's impossible to overlook, with Malik Neighbors likely tearing the ACL in his right knee. That's been the reports, and we will expect that to be confirmed on Monday. You absolutely hate seeing that. But again, we're going to get into all of the details. I'm going to get to all the super chats first, and we're going to discuss the reasons why the Giants won this game, and we're going to give credit to Brian Daboll, to Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, to the pass rush, to everybody who was involved in getting this victory, because I didn't give them a shot in this game. A lot of people didn't give them a shot in this game. They were 6.5, 6, 5.5 point underdogs at home. As the CBS broadcast said before the game, 19 straight, or ESPN actually said this, 19 straight games at home at MetLife Stadium that the Giants were an underdog. That is where the Giants franchise has been. This game, though, had the fans, I would say, engaged throughout, with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Just during a timeout, the entire stadium up on their feet. Let's go Giants. I know that sounds obvious. You think, well, it's a sporting event. These fans are paying money for these tickets. They're spending their day there. Of course, they're going to cheer for their team. That's not how fourth quarters go around here. That's not how games happen when the Giants step on the field. That's not what happens even when the Giants show promise. What happens when the game starts to turn, when they start to face adversity. But I'm just telling you, from the start of this game, when the Giants didn't know what to expect as a team from their own offense, with a new offense that they were running with Jackson Dart at quarterback, when they knew they were facing an opponent that is difficult to beat, that had not lost a game yet, that just suffered its first loss today, falls to 3-1. And then also when you have Neighbors go down and then you give up a touchdown late in the end of the first half, and you go into halftime only up 13-10 in a game that you felt like you had done so much right so far. Those are all moments that this team, a team teetering prior to this, you would expect, I expected, one of these along the way is going to have them slumping their shoulders, hanging their heads. And this is all because this is just the position they have put themselves in by falling to 0-3 off a 3-14 season. And there was a lot of looking around, working on it, but looking around on where is this going to go next? And the Giants, at least for this week and for the time being, took matters into their own hands and dictated how this is going to go. They dictated that this season is not over. They dictated that they have a recipe for winning games. And really, you think about, we always discuss here on Talkin Ball Live with Pat Leonard, we always discuss how in 2022, when Wink Martindale was DC, Daboll, Kafka, and Martindale, what they did best was they created a game plan each week to win, right? And there was a way they played defense. There was a way they had to adjust their offense because of that, and also their personnel. The defense adjusted to how the offense was attacking, but it was all cohesive as a plan to win that day's game. And I think what you saw in this game was a smarter approach to attacking a specific opponent, plus what really made a lot of difference, and this Abdul Carter mentioned this, is that they took a lead early. The Chargers are a team that you just don't want to fall behind on. And if you get put in obvious passing situations throughout the rest of the game, it ends up putting you on your heels. The Giants, though, today were the team that put the opponent on their heels, taking an early lead, not relinquishing it, and not just because the Chargers were down, but then also because for two other reasons. One, their starting left tackle, Joe Alt, got hurt in the first quarter with an ankle injury and left the game and did not return. Go Irish. And then secondly, Omarion Hampton, their running back, was giving the Giants a lot of problems, as you saw from that 54-yard touchdown run. But at the end of the game, Greg Roman, the OC of the Chargers, refused to lean on the running back who was hurting the Giants, and instead was kind of saying, hey, best on best, we're going to beat you. Justin Herbert in our passing attack is going to beat your defense and your defensive line and your pass rush that has been giving us some issues through these first 3.5 quarters. And the Giants defense said, nope, we're winning this day. We're finishing this. Abdul Carter was nuts today. I mean, his stats, he led them, according to NFL Next Gen stats, Carter led the team with 8 quarterback pressures. He also had 8 pressures, 5 quarterback hits. He also did force an intentional grounding on what would have been a sack. I thought they gave guys a sack for that. So I'm wondering if they're going to adjust that later. But Burns had a sack, Thibodeau had a sack, Carter forced that intentional grounding. 12 quarterback hits as a team, in addition to the 2 sacks of Herbert, plus the 2 interceptions for Dexter Lawrence and Drew Phillips, and their returns down to the 3-yard line that set Dart and the offense up for 10 points on a Jude McTamney field goal and a Theo Johnson shovel pass from Jackson Dart for his first NFL TD pass. So the balance of this is this. Now, we'll talk about how Dart's feeling physically. We'll talk about what this means for the future. How do you adjust without Neighbors? All those things. But listen, I'm the one who sat here and told you, because all of it was true, all of it was happening, all of it was on the table, that Monday could have been, like Sunday, today could have been Brian Daboll's last day as head coach if today had gone the opposite direction. But it didn't. That is the point. The point is the team responded rather than folding. Against adversity, they showed up. Daboll, of course, a little bit had his chest out. He actually was kind of combative with me over a question about how much the defense had done today in this win, which was interesting because, as you heard Dart say, the defense carried this team today. But no doubt there were just a variety of factors that Daboll put in place, that the team put in place, that the defense put in place to add sparks to what was a season-saving and potentially job-saving victory for Daboll and maybe even for Joe Schoen. So without further ado, we'll get to your questions. This is Talkin Ball Postgame Live with Pat Leonard from MetLife Stadium. We are brought to you here by MyBookie, Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, Boom, Chaga, Mushroom, Super Drink, and Sal Loretta for Men. You see our codes there on the bottom. Like I said, showed up much later than I intended to today, but the reality is my full-time salary is with the New York Daily News, and I have to file those stories and do my best for the New York Daily News before I jump on here. And, the more sponsors on board, the more we support our sponsors, and the more this community grows. the earlier I can jump on Talkin Ball Postgame Live. So that is the goal, of course, because I love nothing more, honestly, than having these chats with all of you guys. So let's get to the super chats first. I want to just before I take your questions, I want to add one more thing. After the game, I'm in the locker room and I talked to several players by now, and I see Jackson Dart come out of the showers in his towels, and he is walking extremely slowly. You know, when you do those like tired walks where you're not even lifting your feet off the ground, you're kind of shuffling your feet across the carpet. That's what he looked like. His eyes were droopy and he was sore and he was kind of limping and he was going at a snail's pace, but he was smiling, like a tired smile, you know? And that is, I think, the image I will take from this game, as well as you guys saw on the field, Brian Daboll and Jackson Dart hugging. But once Dart got to his locker, Daboll came over, gave him another hug, wrapped his arm around his neck, said something to him. And we'll lead into your questions with this. Jackson Dart was asked about how much he thinks this meant to Brian Daboll. And he said, he's the guy that believed in me from day one. I think it does say a lot that he made the decision, had the confidence in me. When you have a coach who you know has your back, I'm going to go out there and do everything I can for him to win. So with that, we jump into Giants Chronicles podcast. What's up, Giants Chronicles? He says, Pat had the Fire Brian article ready to go. Giants threw him a curveball and didn't have the Giants shock the NFL. That's a good team they beat. I did, just full disclosure, I do not have the Brian Daboll is fired article written. I do not. But I did very much write for the Daily News today based on, you saw the quotes from Darius Slayton. I asked if there was a change in belief or wavering belief in the locker room, and he said, I wouldn't say it's that, but we've got to see. He said we've got to see that this has been done to help our chances to win games. And not, and implicitly he was saying, and not just because people think it's going to save their jobs or extend the timeline, that kind of thing. He said the buck has to stop somewhere if we don't win games. And he pointed out, look at Daniel Jones. We weren't winning games, so the buck stopped somewhere. So that was where everything stood coming into this game. Everything was on the line for Brian Daboll. Everything was on the line for Joe Schoen, right? 0-4 going to New Orleans, not being able to believe that you can get results. That's so different from being 1-3 going to face an 0-4 team, right? It's so different being 1-3 going to face the Saints than being the match of 0-4 teams with a rookie quarterback who, as much as Jackson Dart injected life into this team and started well and made some plays, Jackson Dart's final stat line today is pedestrian. 13 of 20, 111 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 10 rushes for 54 yards, and another touchdown, right? Outside of that opening drive, and especially once Neighbors got hurt, this offense didn't do that much at all. So it's not going to be easy, but the Giants found a way. And Chronicles, you're absolutely right. That is a good team. That is a very good team. And I think the Giants deserve credit for what they put on the field today and for the commitment that they showed. MJ says, I didn't think you posting 2 videos about Daboll air quotes regarding the medical staff was fair. Do you feel you jumped the gun before following up? Daboll said there was non-medical staff in the group, hence the quotes referring to them. No, I didn't think I jumped the gun. I think Daboll was spending the week going on the offensive, and I think he touched the third rail, and I think that's a hot button issue around here. And so it being covered and talked about publicly leads to angst. That's what I think, MJ. And really, MJ, things like that are, listen, it's my job to tell you guys, based on my experience, my knowledge, my sources, my information, to tell you guys how much, what I feel like the pulse of the team is and what I feel like the reality of a situation is. And it is certainly your prerogative as a Giants fan, as a consumer of my writing, content, whatever it is. It is absolutely your prerogative to want to seek different opinions, to listen to what everybody's saying and come to your own conclusions. And, I don't take that personally one way or the other, but I think over the course of my journalism career, I've demonstrated that I am not going to tell you the popular thing or the rose-colored thing. Sometimes I will if it's what I believe or the conclusions I've come to, but I'm going to share with you what my reporting tells me and what people who I trust tell me about a situation. So, I think all of that created pressure, and that, I think the Giants obviously answered that today. So, but no, I didn't view that as being unfair. I think also too, MJ, Daboll is frequently combative or unhelpful when it comes to answering questions. And so the idea of clarifying something like that, there was not an opportunity to do something like that. Like that's asking us to expect him to be a different person. Is the it's like suddenly you want a different dynamic. No, I mean he's a direct person, so I take his comments directly. Dan, what's up? He says, Pat, my man, the ball is pure BS. Dart ain't smart. So it sounds like Dan, it feels like this isn't sustainable. Interesting. Well, I will say this, as much as, yes, you still need to see this continue to evolve. Man, oh man, that Russell Wilson single snap was brutal, huh? Dart gets sent to the medical tent for the concussion evaluation, and Russell Wilson comes in, turtles, takes a sack, and fumbles on one play. Holy cow. Doesn't exactly help those the Giants aren't ready yet to trade Russell Wilson stories. Joey B is pumped. Look at Joey B. Joey B's been as frustrated as anybody. He's jacked. The juice was there, says Joe. This was a great feel in the stands. Got Dart to autograph my jersey. Whoa. Got gifted a neighbor's autographed jersey for my birthday today, too. So who can we get as a new wide receiver one? We need one. Man, who had a better day than Joey B? I mean, I would say Jackson Dart, but, he's limping around and sore. Joey B's feeling good driving home right now. Congrats, Joe, and a great day for you, the Giants fans out here. It even had an auspicious feeling to it because, well, according to Darryl Slater, who had originally reported that the planes were going to be flying with the banners today, those planes had been in State College the previous night for Oregon, Penn State, and were grounded wherever they are normally stationed due to weather. And so the Giants didn't even have to go into this game with banners flying overhead telling Mara to fire people. So it was just the whole atmosphere of the stadium was much more positive and better and different. Of course, it's because of the result you get on the field, obviously. But your question about wide receivers. Yeah, let me take a look at. I'm just fresh off of this game, so I have not made calls around the league yet about who would be available. I mean, it's not an easy thing to go and get a top wide receiver one right off of any team. I mean, the first guy, I would be surprised if John Mara would want this guy on the team, but Tyreek Hill on the Miami Dolphins obviously is a disgruntled number one wide receiver on a team that is going nowhere. You have, let's see. Let's go through the league. Keep going here. I mean, even if Dallas goes in the tank, they're not going to trade somebody to you of that caliber. I mean, Chris Olave, a guy with a history of concussions, but who's healthy and had a good season so far. Could you get him off of the New Orleans Saints? Let's see. Who else is out there? I mean, it's not Jacoby Myers in in Vegas, a guy who preseason requested a trade because he was frustrated, wanted a new contract. I'm just throwing everything out there right now since you asked the question. Not exactly a position where, first of all, there's not receivers all over the place that are available. Then the other thing would be, the price is high for those players. And I'm looking at the Titans too, which is kind of a team in shambles. They have Calvin Ridley on that team. I mean, the Bengals obviously have Chase and Higgins, and can't imagine they're going to have a lot of success without Joe Burrow, as we've kind of seen so far. But man, oh man, that would be such an expensive trade, I would think. Is that worth it at this point? I mean, if your job's on the line, maybe it is, but I'm just throwing out names of receivers without looking at the details and having any phone calls with anybody. I'm just throwing out details right now of number one receivers in places where, hey, maybe they could become available, or maybe their team is going to be bad enough, 2 or 3 weeks from now that they'll actually listen, kind of thing, right? Stick around, guys. We're obviously going to do our Hooks, Rubs, and Spices Giants trivia. Look forward to that. When I do our Giants trivia question, you will answer in the queue on the comment section, and the first person to type in and enter the correct answer will win some free Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. Hooks, Rubs, and Spices basically is going to improve any tailgate or home gate that you have going this fall for NFL, whether it's Giants, whatever team you root for. If you're in the backyard, if you're at the stadium lot like Joey B, whatever it is, Hooks, Rubs, and Spices brings big Texas barbecue flavor right to you. It's all natural as well. Tons of award-winning flavors, great swag as well. Hooksrub.com is the website. And as you see on the bottom there, the discount code is Talkin Ball. So we will do that Giants trivia coming up. Let's jump into the queue. Joe says, proof the Giants should have never signed Wilson today. Must have been a Shane Mara signing as soon as Wilson comes in. Sack. Phil Sims says Wilson's career is over. Worst games in 2 years that he has seen. Looks like we got another super chat coming in. Joey B says, what about A.J. Brown? He's not happy. Oh, I'm limping too, Pat. Plantar fasciitis is flared from today. So you and Jackson took a beating today, and Justin Herbert. A.J. Brown? No, the Eagles are not trading A.J. Brown to the Giants. I don't see that happening. The same way like the Eagles tried to get Parsons from the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are like, no. Manzo. Hey, Pat, hopefully a turning point for this franchise, but the play calling in the red zone is the worst I've ever seen. Something has to change. Do you think Daboll goes the entire season now? I mean, listen, even when I was saying that Monday could have been it for Daboll, the truth is about this regime, and obviously, slipping here with the headsets as I adjust myself. The truth about this regime and the Giants right now is like what John Mara said in January still holds true. He doesn't want to rip it up and start over. He just desperately wants this to work, and so he's trying to stick with it and be patient as long as he can to see it through. And so the Mara family, especially, they are just, and the Tisches too. I mean, they both run the show. They're trying to stay committed, and they don't want to fire either of these guys, ideally. But Daboll is the one who has faced more internal pressure coming out of last season and still now. And, so I think you ask, does Daboll last the entire season? Certainly at this point, if you're running this team, as the Maras and the Tisches, you won Jackson Dart's first start. However it happened, you won Jackson Dart's first start. Daboll made this call, put his neck on the line, and you win the game, right? Excellent. Great. Like more than you could have hoped for, right? Based on the results we've seen this year. Dart and the Giants, even though obviously it was a defensive-led game, they score more points in this game than Wilson did in 2 of his 3 starts combined, right? The Commanders and Chiefs games, he had 15 points total. Today, they have 21 as a team. Now, that said, what if you lose to the Saints next week going into Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners, right? It's hard to predict how this goes at that point. How do they adjust without Malik? What do they put on the field as far as weapons go, right? If Dart is banged up and he's not able to run as much as they were running him early in the game, how much does that stunt what you're able to do? But I think certainly this buys Daboll, into the mid-season. Their bye week is week 14. I mean, given that this organization is trying not to fire people if they can help it, but they need to see wins and results, right? So that's why it was a possibility going into today, given all the other factors. But if they can see some results, and if they can, certainly they've convinced themselves in many ways about certain players on their roster being promising, whether they've seen all of the fruits bear yet or not. But if they can just see some results, they're not looking to pull the plug like that, So getting a win does buy a lot. I mean, look at last season. Last season, Brian Daboll and the Giants start 0-2. They beat the Cleveland Browns in week 3 and the Seattle Seahawks in week 5. They won one more game the rest of the season. So they won on October 6th in Seattle. They didn't win again until December 29th, and that was their only win the rest of the year. And both the head coach and GM kept their jobs. So you ask me, does this mean they're safe for the rest of the year, that the coach is safe for the rest of the year? It might, because we just saw that it could mean that last season. That is what it meant last season, right? Makes you wonder if the front office wasn't advocating for Dart and was in no rush. Why did our rookie quarterback look better than Wilson has at any point outside of Dallas? What was the front office waiting for? Well, collusion, I think it's 2 things. One, they believed that their team was better than what we saw through the first 3 weeks. So they were looking for a combination of competing as a potential playoff team this year with a veteran who's ready, combined with the promise and development and the future of the rookie who will come in when he's ready and when the team needs him and all that. And also twofold is running the team as Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, and especially from the front office perspective. If you could have that work out where let's say Wilson led the team and they won this year and you didn't have to play Dart much, then you are able to buy an extra year and maybe more, right? Because that next year is the last year of their contracts. But ideally, you're looking at how can we extend our stay here? And so that's my belief. It's twofold. One, how they evaluated their team, believing their team was better than at least what it was through the first 3 weeks. And in my opinion, still how it is, in general. But it was also like, okay, it's self-preservation. It's like, can we make this timeline extend so that, hey, we're doing right by the, this player, but also we're buying extra time and we're extending, maybe we can get a contract extension. And because our young quarterback hasn't played much yet, but we've seen promise, and then ownership says, well, we have to give these guys more time, right? So those are all factors. GCN says Dart would have won the Dallas game. I would have liked to have seen him play in it. That guy says, let's go Big Blue. Patrick says, why are we asking if Daboll is still gone for or going to last the season? Let's stop with the negativity and enjoy a great win. I'm tired of the negativity, even when we win. Joe says, Pat, the hug Daboll put on Dart, you saved my job and coaching career. What's up? Hooks, rubs, and spices. Jared, what's going on? H-Town says the field has taken more players out than ever. Unfortunately, it's always Giants players. Yeah, definitely something to continue to talk about coming off Malik going down like this on the turf. The Giants obviously have changed the turf I think twice in the last 6 years or something like that. But absolutely brutal. Neighbors, of course, He had the toe, he had the back, all those things. He takes some practices off, limited others, but he always seems like he's ready to go on the game day. And this is just a huge blow both to him and to the team. GCN says, Pat, around the league, it looks like the Chiefs offense is back and the Ravens have defense like Dallas. Tampa Bay is not a Super Bowl contender and Washington needs Daniels to win. Yeah, so I don't get them all right, but I did see this Chiefs thing coming. I might reshare Benny Fowler predicting on Talkin Ball 2 weeks ago. Him predicting the Chiefs going to win the Super Bowl. I might reshare that, every week as the Chiefs just climb out of this hole and turn back into the team that nobody wants to play. They are obviously led by Steve Spagnuolo's defense right now, in large part how they're comprised. But you see today with what Mahomes is doing, 4 touchdown passes, 270 yards. And you're absolutely right. The Ravens defense is not a defense. It's not an acceptable defense for a team that's supposed to be a Super Bowl contender. It's just not. And then you're seeing that today from the Chiefs for sure. Everybody's eating for Kansas City today. And then what else is going on league wide? I'm glad you brought that up, GCN. I would say what sticks out to me today in the results, Houston, just like the Giants, desperately needed a win. They beat the Tennessee Titans 26-0. Wonder if Brian Callahan actually ends up leapfrogging everybody and becoming the first head coach fired. He gave up play calling, offensive play calling, and they lose 26-0. I mean, getting shut out in the modern NFL is really something. That has to be the first shutout of the season, right? I don't think anyone else has gotten shut out yet. Philadelphia Eagles just keep finding ways to win, even though their games are all different and kind of weird. My best bet covers. The Rams beat Daniel Jones and the Colts. So Daniel Jones suffers his first setback as a Colt. And yeah, I'm interested to see if Green Bay absolutely slaughters Dallas. It feels like too easy of a pick there. So I'm curious to see that one. Monday night slate is yuck. Jets, Dolphins, and Cincinnati, Denver. All right, we got some more super chatters. Let's go. And then we'll get to our Giants trivia, and then we'll keep hitting the queue. This is Talkin Ball Postgame Live with Pat Leonard on the YouTube channel. PL on NFL is the handle, as you all know. We're brought to you by MyBookie, Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, Sal Loretta for Men, and Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. Grateful to our sponsors for their support. The code you saw scrolling across the screen. MyBookie is the place to tail all of my Pat's picks every week. You probably saw them all over social media this morning. Hope you tailed those picks. Hope you're continuing to make money from those Pat's picks. Tail me and use that code at mybookie.ag, which is Leonard, Leonard. You'll get a bet back bonus up to $500. Patrick says, hey, Pat, you need to be toasting with your old-fashioned drink after every Giants win, like I suggested at the beginning of the season. Patrick, good call. I don't have one here in the stadium because I'm still here at MetLife, so didn't pack an old-fashioned with me. But why don't we say this, Patrick? I'll maybe pop one. I'll mix one up tomorrow for Talkin Ball live on Monday night. How about that? Great call. D Kit says, great result for the rookie quarterback, Pat. Let's see how we deal with a little success. With each week, teams will get a little more tape on Dart. I hope our coaching staff can keep up. I'm going to enjoy today. Yeah, and I think the perspective on, listen, there's definitely some concerns and things to talk about, but let's just enjoy the win first. Like, that's the right approach to have as a fan. Just, enjoy today, just like Joey B said about how the stadium felt, how positive it was. This deserves to be soaked up, enjoyed. And what did I say after some of these losses, like the Dallas game? Man, was there a lot of positive in that Dallas game, especially offensively. But the team lost the game. So in the end, it's not, in my mind, it's not even acceptable to talk about it like an almost win, the way Russell Wilson did when you lost the game. You need to find ways to win. Similarly, this game today, of course, all the setbacks and adversity and back and forth stuff, that's all part of the story. But the bottom line is the Giants found a way to win the game. They won the game. And so just similar to how we treat the defeats about like not being able to close a game like this, you have to give the team credit. You have to identify the reasons why, and you have to, as a fan, enjoy the fact that they did it. So I totally agree. Good call, D-Kit. Let's see. Barb says, how about sexy Dexy with the pick? Yeah, Kayvon said Dex was rumbling, bumbling, stumbling as an ode to the great Chris Berman over at ESPN. Of course, got caught by Justin Herbert, and the Giants did not finish in the red zone there, unfortunately, on offense. But, listen, Dexter Lawrence, a guy who is still trying to get back into playing shape, his top playing shape. He had the elbow seemed to be bothering him last week, even though he wasn't on the injury report with it this week. And, listen, big time players, you need them to make game-changing plays. That's why you pay them. That's why they're on your team. That's why they're here. And that's why Dex has the reputation he does as that quality of defensive lineman and player, because those are the types of plays he can make, right? And so it was really important for this team that its best player essentially made that big a play is the number one thing I would say. And, the defense in general, I mean, the defense was the reason this team won the game. Like Jackson Dart said it the best. He said, our defense carried us today. And he also said that in the locker room after the game. He said, basically, you D boys, you carried us, something along those lines. And, that's just what happened today, is that the pass rush, Thibodeau, Burns, Carter, they really got after the Chargers. They hassled Justin Herbert. And every game takes a different recipe and a different plan to win. But the defense absolutely was the reason they won the game. Like, the offense would not have been able to sustain things here if they had, if like basically the way that it went in the second half, they were on fumes. They were on life support. And actually had a funny exchange with Daboll now that you brought up the defense again. So here, I'll just read it off the transcript. I said, what did you guys figure out defensively today? Was it just your pass rush leaning on them so frequently? Abdul specifically, it seemed like he was terrorizing Herbert all day. So Daboll says, well, what do you mean? What did we figure out? What does that mean? I said, it seemed like you had answers to what they were bringing you in the passing game all day. So this is me just complimenting the defense and asking him essentially to describe what they did well. And he says, like, comparison to what? Just like how we played defensively today? Is that what you're asking? How we played defensively today? And I said, yeah, what did your defense play? Why did your defense play well today? And he says, they played hard. I thought they did their job. And then he starts talking about all the things they didn't do well. It wasn't perfect. We gave a big one up at the end of the half. We gave a big one backed up. But I thought it starts up front, controlling the line of scrimmage, getting pressure on the quarterback. They had a couple big runs that hurt. Again, mentioning something that they didn't do well. Now we have to get that fixed because that'll get you. And I would say at the end of the half, that 4th and 2, stay in earmuffs, stay on sides. We just have to do a better job of that. Some of our young guys and keep working with them. I thought the defensive coaches did a good job. I thought the players played hard. They made some plays in terms of the back end, breaking up plays, and they got after the quarterback a little bit, which always helps. So, giving me a hard time there for sure, Daboll, which was funny, which was interesting because, I would say this. It feels like there's, here's what I would say. The credit for this win belongs to the defense as far as what played out on the field today. But you're definitely hearing a lot of credit to the offense coming from the head coach. And he's pushing back there on the suggestion that the defense changed things the way that I was. So I thought that was interesting. Again, who cares which side of the ball as long as the team wins? So odd hill to die on. All right. Let's see. Giants have to build on this momentum and execute better with more discipline and technique in all areas to get to 500. It's a steep hill. Make a run seems impossible, but with better play, who knows? Yes, New Orleans is a must win. Maybe they can beat Denver. Do not count on beating the Eagles, says Joe. Manzo says, who do you think will be elevated from the practice squad for the receivers? Anyone? And who is now going to take snaps in place of Malik Neighbors? So I can tell you guys who they have on the practice squad. I mean, obviously we saw Jalen Hyatt play a lot today all of a sudden with Malik going down. On their practice squad, the Giants have Amir Smith-Marset, who they really treat as more of a specialist, like on kicks and special teams than a receiver. They have little Jordan Humphrey, and then they have Dalen Cambry. So those are the three guys on the practice squad that would be available for call-ups. They also do like Bo Collins, but that's not the answer you're looking for, I think. Achilles, you're always giving me a hard time. You're funny. No, I'm not punching air that the Giants won at all. No, I mean, I've probably said this on here, but running joke is like the Giants are career killers around here, because if they don't win enough games, then people stop paying attention and apathy sets in and irrelevance. And that's the worst thing. Jackson Dart playing and the Giants winning is the best case scenario. I think that guy's mimicking Daboll there. That's funny. James says, hey, Pat, glad we won, but very sad about losing Neighbors for the rest of the season. Just our bad luck biting our butt again. Let's see. All right. Giants played a complete game today. Yeah, they put it together enough. GCN says Chargers rushing 152, Giants 161, Chargers 14 penalties, Giants 8. Chargers rookie running back Amari Hampton ran through our D-line like Swiss cheese, says Jim Osborne. Yeah, like I said, a big part of this game in the second half where it could have turned for the Chargers, but it didn't, was when Greg Roman stopped running the ball at that one drive where they threw the ball 3 times and they went 3 and out because Bowen and the defense and the pass rush were getting after Herbert. Like, that was a huge, huge part of the game there. I just don't understand the thought process there with Roman and the Chargers. I see you guys talking about Odell Beckham Jr. as a possibility. Collusion says, yeah, OBJ is a nice thought, but he's over 30, missing a knee basically, and no other team wanted him on the roster. It would be a waste of a roster spot, to be honest. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's see. Kylo, very sorry to hear that. Intel, what's going on? Great game. Jacob says, smack that like and sub button for my brother Pat. Yes. I always, you know what? I always forget to say this, and then Jacob always picks me up. Appreciate that, Jacob. Please hit those likes while we are live, guys. Really appreciate that. That creates engagement, tells NFL and Giants fans out there that we are live and that this channel exists and that you should join and talk NFL and talk ball with us, talk Giants. Great time with all of you here, and subscribe to the channel as well. It's free. It allows you to ask questions in these chats, and I think we have a lot of good content that people don't have anywhere else, as far as my access being a 10-year NFL columnist and Giants beat writer coming out of the locker room after these games, and just having a lot to offer as far as unique coverage of the team and of the league. Let's see. Luann knew the Giants would win. I'm sure you did, Luann. You're always positive. You were saying it this week, too. Pass game is a long way to go, says that guy. I see a bunch of people telling me to eat crow. H-Town says, Bowen finally ran stunts with the front 4. Need to do that more. Use Thibodeau inside and Carter outside those stunts that helped. Yeah, it did. Abdul coming from the edge, stunting to the inside was an absolute problem for the Chargers. Patrick says, hey, Pat, what is the deal with Hyatt? Can he be trade bait for a receiver? I feel like he brings nothing to the team, feels like a wasted roster spot. I mean, he's on the team. He played a lot today. No, I mean, to your point, Patrick, if you're trading a player like that, you're not getting the receiver that you're looking for in return, right? So are you trading him and also trading a draft pick for that player? But how much is throwing Hyatt into that deal adding value there, right? I mean, the deal with Jalen Hyatt is he's a deep threat. They don't show a lot of trust in him. I think I saw him blocking pretty well today at times. Like they asked him to block like out on the edge, stuff like that. I liked what he showed with that. I think sometimes these situations where guys get forced into a role that the team wasn't even trying to put them in, sometimes it turns out to work out in the long run because they get forced into that role. Let me see what his snaps were today. So Jalen Hyatt. So this is according to Next Gen Stats. He played 26 snaps on offense. So that's 37, almost 38% of the snaps. Yeah, I think, he's got downfield speed. I mean, there was one play, they dialed up a post route for him, and it was kind of like a fake run action, and Dart stepped back and out to his right. And the play was designed for him to throw the ball about a gazillion yards downfield to Hyatt. And the Chargers were just running the correct coverage against it. Like they had a deep safety behind him the whole time. And also, I think, a corner running with him too. So he ended up with no catches, but they did take that shot. You'd like to see them have success underneath with him more. Let's see. Oh, I just saw this, Franklin. You said being silly here, but OBJ to the practice squad. Thanks for the super chat, Patrick, Franklin, everybody. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Odell seems to be lobbying for it. That's for sure. Would that be the answer they need? Let's see. Simeon said, yes, I totally agree with this. The Giants couldn't stop either running back. Only the Chargers coaching stopped them. Agree. Yeah, they should have run the ball after they lost those players. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. Greg Roman definitely lost them this game. H-Town says Kafka has to get Dart under center. It's the only way to win this offense. Has no chance with the game plan today. It will not be successful moving forward if Dart is hurt and out and Winston is in. Brooklyn Dodger says, you sure find a way to take a negative spin. That is a top 5 defense. Give the kids some credit, Pat. Brooklyn, what did I say? I feel like I've been so positive today. What did I do? Maybe because I said that the defense was the reason the team won. I mean, I don't really think that's a crazy thing to say. I mean, that Dart said it. But, I mean, Jackson certainly did some good things today. First, number one, I mean, he had the fumbled snap, but, he didn't turn the ball over, which is obviously key in a game where their defense gets those 2 takeaways. So that's huge. Theo was wide open on that 10-yard pass at the end. It was not a difficult throw to make, but it was a 3rd and 5 at a key time. Dart made the throw, so nice job. I thought, honestly, the thing I was most impressed about was how he came out in the opening drive. Scatterboo running the ball, the offensive line, obviously all of that helped. But he knew to look to Malik. He got the ball out quickly enough. I like the throw where he sprinted out to his right when they were backed up on one of the drives and hit Slayton for an 18-yard pass. That was nice. Dart has a lot of good things about his game. I mean, I like Dart. I didn't come into this game thinking Dart was going to be bad at quarterback. I just came into it thinking that some things were going to overwhelm him, and then the rest of the team wasn't going to be able to pick him up. So I underestimated the rest of the team picking him up, Dart clearly is an excellent runner. He's athletic. We know that. He's tough as nails, all things we know for sure. And does have some swagger to him. And certainly just the fact that he's their first round QB, that they're showing faith in him and that the fan base is behind him, certainly helped a lot about this game. Alex says, great job, Pat. As always, we'll take the W because we don't see many. Ashley does not like Kafka's play calling. No play action, screens, crossing patterns, just draws up the middle and run plays. And why so much shotgun? I think because that's what Dart is most comfortable with, Chris. It goes back to what he ran at Ole Miss. So, you saw he gets under center. He wasn't under center much, and he fumbled one of his under center snaps today, even though he barely did it. So, yeah, Ashley, I agree with so I knew a couple of those times it's like Daboll and Kafka are going to call Dart's number here, right? Like they're going to call his number for sure. Especially like after earlier they had a red zone series where they did not call his number, and you could see Dart pounding his chest like this, like, give me the ball next time, So, which I like. That's cool. So, but yeah, a lot of those are not exactly creative, and also they're clearly predictable in the sense that, like, if I'm able to stand up there and say it's coming, and you see how the defense approaches it, it seems like they know it's coming, then you really have to kind of get back in the film room and figure out some more ways of attacking, right? Joe makes a good point. Dart needs to watch film on Mahomes running and see how he floats around and never gets hit hard. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Like, his mobility is great, and he actually, even one of the plays he got sacked, he was stepping through and around the pocket and pressures a lot of different times and looking really deft and good about it. But you just have, at the end of your play, whatever it is, a scramble, stepping up to make a throw, those kind of things, running to the outside, being chased, you just have to find a way as a quarterback to not take those extra hits. And so that's something you'll learn. That is relatively typical of a rookie quarterback. Let's see. H-Town wants to trade Russ to Miami with Hyatt for Waddle. H-Town, GMing, love it. I'm a fan, pumped about the win. Simeon says if Dart doesn't learn to slide, he won't be long for this league. The headfirst taking on tackler style can't last. Big Brother says, was it me or did it look like every time they showed Dart, he looked winded? One thing Dart did say to me was that it was very hot on the field because the sun was out today and it was beaming down. He said it was hot all day. That was one comment he made after the game. So I think that might be related to it. But yeah, like he said, the concussion evaluation was because he was so gassed at the end of that long run trying to get back to the huddle. I mean, he also got smoked on that hit, though, too. Like, to pretend that he didn't get absolutely blasted on that would be a little bit crazy. But yeah, good observation there. Again, remember, as much practice and workouts as this guy does, like, he hasn't played a full NFL game ever in his life. And he hasn't played a full football game since last year at Ole Miss. And that's a different speed, Yes, you have to give them credit, Until, no doubt. E-Man says, glad they got the win, but the offense looks like the same old shite. Coach D says, trade Russell. This ain't Madden. Nobody is giving up a pick for him. E-Man wants T. Higgins. GT wants Waddle. GCN says, Pat, you are all over the radio. Carlin quoted you about the wet practice, gave you credit. Thank you. John wants Christian Kirk or Chris Olave. H-Town says he wants Ridley. Let's see. Prayers for Malik Tiger, no doubt. All right, before I go any further, let me do our Giants trivia question brought to you by Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. Again, it's hooksrub.com. Giants trivia question. We ask a Giants trivia question. Whoever gets the answer correct first, so you put it into the chat, you type it in. Whoever gets it correct first wins some free Hooks, Rubs, and Spices mailed directly to you. And Hooks, Rubs, and Spices is the It's the seasoning, it's the flavor, it's what's going to spice up your tailgate and your home gating in your backyard. It's going to bring everybody together. It's going to, whether it's flat top burgers, brisket is my favorite, cheesy nachos, smoked wings, whatever you have on the grill that you're trying to spice up and make it taste just a little bit better and bring people back for more. You're going to want to use Hooks Rubs and Spices, big Texas barbecue flavor. All natural, hooksrub.com. Use the code Talkin Ball for 15% off today. All right. Let's see. Here is your trivia question. Dexter Lawrence had a 37-yard interception return. It was his first career interception, returned at 37 yards. It was the longest interception return by a Giants defensive lineman since who? Give me a name. Longest interception return by a Giants defensive lineman since whom? Mara says JPP. No, incorrect. Good guess. We have a Keith Hamilton guess. We have a couple Strahan guesses. Leonard Williams, LT, Strahan, Barnes. All good guesses. None of them correct. Fashu is correct. Fashu KB. Justin Tuck is the answer. This is the longest interception return by a Giants D lineman since Justin Tuck recorded a 41-yard return at St. Louis on September 14th, 2008. Congrats to Fashu KB for getting it right. Justin Tuck is the correct answer. Fashu, here's what you got to do. I believe you've won stuff with us before, but you're going to go to my Instagram account. PL on NFL is the handle. You're going to direct message me your name, address, and email address. I'm going to pass that along to Jared from Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, our diehard Giants fan who is always in these chats as well. And we're going to get you some free Hooks, Rubs, and Spices mailed directly to you. Congratulations, Fashu KB. Name, address, and email address direct to me on Instagram. Congrats, Justin Tuck. All right, let's see. Pat, you asked the best questions. I heard you on 106.7. They used your clip asking Daboll a question about Russell being benched and saw you on Craig Carton's show on YouTube. Thank you, GCN. Bringing Talkin Ball everywhere. E-Man says Daniel Jones finally lost one. They should have won. Mitchell dropped the ball before he crossed the end zone. Oh, boy. I got to see those highlights. Mara needs to fix the field. Takes out all our great players every time. Jags DC needs to come to New York because they are turnover monsters. This is the wrong day to say the Giants need a new DC. Shane Bowen did a great job today. E-Man says stay patient until the Ravens fire Harbaugh and then pick him up. Let's see. All right. Guys, I love all the chats and the comments. I'm going to start skipping around just to try to give people who I have not answered their questions yet or address their comments, like, try to get like first timers instead of some of the diehards who have dumped a lot into the chat, which is all great. Franklin says, Pat, love what you do, man. You're the best in the business. Thank you, Franklin. Sometimes I think you can come off as rooting for Daboll to be fired. Yes, he and Joe have been bad. Dart and defense were awesome. Yeah, Franklin, I don't want that, obviously. I just believe my reporting and my opinion of the team, that's where I saw it going into this game. If they didn't get a result today, they deserve credit for getting that result, and they sure showed more belief as a team than I expected, especially given how the team was acting during the week in reaction to the quarterback change. So like T Patrick has a funny comment here. He says, yay, 1-3, sign Daboll for 4 more. Right. Like that's kind of the funny part. Then Franklin, that would be my answer, to that type of thought process of like, oh, I want him to be fired or whatever it is. It's, it's not personal, first of all, but second of all, what would losing 14 of 15 straight and losing 17 of 20 coming into this game because of that, the coach and the GM and their jobs and their job security and the organization's competence, all of those deserve to be questioned and are on the table as issues and as possible outcomes, because that's what losing does in this business, So I don't follow the idea that saying that someone who has won one of their last 15 games is in trouble. Like, that's not rooting for them to be fired. That is, I mean, if I coached a soccer team and my team lost 14 of 15 games, I don't think I would be coaching that team much longer. And I don't really think I would believe I should be coaching that team that much longer. Why are we in spread formation in the 1 yard line with a power runner in the backfield? Kafka's got to go, says Anthony. Their red zone offense, it leaves a lot to be desired basically all season, regardless of who's been a quarterback. Finally, a stream after a W, says Dan. This offensive line scares me more. 6 sacks. Dart will get killed. James says, I'm surprised Daboll didn't tell your bum ass off today for the garbage you put out for clickbait. James, I read that out loud because calling me a bum ass, that made me laugh. Doesn't Green Bay have a grass field with a heating system underneath for its Wisconsin winters? I would like to see us with a grass field like that, says NYOG. He's got a slide, no truck stick, says VJ of Jackson Darts running. Let's see. Bowen did make some better calls today for sure. Yes. Good point, Azar. And they faced an offensive line that was vulnerable, and they took advantage of it. Azar has a good thought about maybe running more 2 tight end sets with 2 wide receivers and being heavier in packages without neighbors. Definitely, you need to adjust schematically as well as roster-wise, yes. E-Man says, Daboll is mad because he wanted you to only compliment his offense. He is a joke. You might be right. Boss, no, he is not getting fired on Monday because they beat the undefeated Chargers. I know you're screwing with me too. Your boy Javi says, I'm happy for the win, but not naive enough to think that the Chargers didn't have a letdown game. We're not winning the Super Bowl. Michael Carl says, hey, Pat, happy with the win today, but this team looked very familiar to me with the quarterback making plays with his legs, the defense causing turnovers, and the running game getting yards. NYOG says, loved 44, Cam Scattaboo today, but I don't think he is. I don't think he is really an inside runner, but we didn't see them use him in space. I think we need a 225-pound guy that can get a tough yard. Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Like, he's a hard runner, but he's not a big runner. Yes, the Bears come back and beat the Raiders. I like the Bears in that game. I like the Bears a lot in that game. Will Fred says, best New York Giants podcast out there. Thank you, Will. Yes, Steven. Rare weekend with both the Irish and the Giants getting a win. That is a good call. And Jackson Dart's Ole Miss beats LSU, and then his Giants win as well. Will Fred says, truth be told, I see a lot of Josh Allen. Ooh, boy. That'll get Daboll excited. D-Rock says, Daboll seemed a little cocky in the presser. It's one win. Relax. That's his style, man. That's his style. I know. It's funny. H-Town says, Hyatt made some good blocks. He did. Yeah, you said they make plays happen like Dart, Mahomes, Josh Allen. Players are plug and plays. They don't need a stacked deck because they are dealing. Interesting point. Jackson Dart will make OBJ right. I like it. Yes, he managed his first game well. Was the game manager. Russ couldn't be. Fair. Duncan says, Jackson did something for us that our quarterbacks haven't been able to do in a while, which is don't lose a winnable game. Duncan. That's really well said. Pat, before today, the Giants offense was rated 31 or 32, defense 31. Amazing how much better Andrew Thomas makes the line look, says MG. Oh, no doubt. Duncan says there's a reason to ask there's a lot more to ask of him, like Dart. But for 1 week, one against a really good team with a really good quarterback and a really good coach and good defense, he hung on better than Herbert did. Yeah. And the Giants had a better plan on offense than the Chargers did. I just don't understand the chart. I hate to keep bringing it back up, but as good as the Giants pass rush was, they were killing the Chargers offensive line early, and the Chargers just wouldn't run the ball. That guy Hampton, I mean, what a man. Is there anybody you would want to tackle less than Omari and Hampton? Holy cow. Dart was hopping around on some throws in the pocket, not setting his feet. Chargers had 10 guys in the box at one point. Kafka should have made adjustments to the play call. Well, without Neighbors, that can happen. Barb wants to see Fedoni play. Yeah, I don't know. I know he wants to play too. Bellinger has been showing some stuff lately. They like Daniel again. Why no QB read option today, Pat? Azar, I think Dart carried a couple times off of QB read option today. But then when he got his hamstring hurt in the second, Daboll said they started running him less too. That was part of the reason why. Your boy says we'll win against New Orleans, but we'll come back down to earth against the Uggles. Not being negative, just keeping it funky. And 100. The game is simple. If you can bully people on the line of scrimmage, you will win games. Yeah, that's true. Pat, I loved your quote on post Crab Core's post. Which one was that, Shannon? Let's see. Collusion says I ended up using the code for some hooks, rubs, and spices. I smoke ribs and brisket all the time, so looking forward to trying a new rub. Awesome. Let me know what you think. David G, what's up, Big Pat? Big win today. Keep doing what you do. Thank you, David. Scorpio says now we can see what Hyatt can do with the Neighbors injury, but one game doesn't mean anything. String up 7 to 9 wins. They act like they haven't been here for 4 years. Puka had 170 yards today. Stafford probably plays another 2 to 3 years with him, and Adams, Rams knocking on the door. Giants are on a winning streak, says Joe. 1 win in a row. You guys are funny. Joey B says, oh my goodness, I can't read that out loud, Joey B, even though it's a super chat. You're nuts. H-Town says, how dare he call you a bum ass? He should have looked in the mirror and said that, Pat. You clearly say the real about the team. No holding back. Those sensitive fans need to hold that anger back against you. Yeah, I don't like the personal stuff, but sometimes they crack me up. I like there's an image on Twitter somewhere where the guy put my face on the little tiny trolls with the hair sticking up, like the little figures that they used to have. I guess they're probably still out there. It's really funny though. Kevin says, isn't MetLife getting grass for the World Cup this summer? Mara and Johnson need to figure that, keep that and figure out how to maintain it. Yeah, I don't know if I don't think that's the plan to keep that. But that's a good thought. That's actually a good story worth doing maybe this week off of the Neighbors injury. But like FIFA's installing that. A happy result and a solid beginning of a new era, and it's going to take time. Go Big Blue, go Dart, says Francis. Do you think they would trade Russell Wilson now to get a replacement receiver for Neighbors? I don't know how much you're getting for Russell right now. I mean, he came back in here today and was not good. E-Man doesn't like Scadaboo's vision. 25 for 79, 3.2 yards per carry. He's a third string. We still need to draft a running back. Collusion says one thing that was cool to see was Dart scramble outside of the pocket off script and throw the ball to Wandale. That ball should have been caught. Yeah, on the 4th down in the end zone. Yes, it absolutely should have been caught. Should have been a touchdown. And Wandale started dropping that pass before he got hit. That was a drop. Yes, I asked Dart about his hamstring. He was definitely limping after the game. But what he said was, I'll actually read you the quote directly. He said, so Daboll acknowledged that, first of all, they announced it as an injury officially in the game. And Daboll said they admitted that they ran him less after that and took it like more out of their game plan than they had it in. Dart said, I didn't really feel like I had to adjust my game due to the hamstring. It's just kind of football. You're going to take a little bit of a step or something. You're not going to feel perfect throughout a game. I'll just take this week and recover and I'll be ready to go. Morgan said, Russ liked to throw to Wandale. I sense Dart likes Slayton's playing style more. There's something to the type of target this guy prefers. Morgan, that's an interesting point. Yes, Hampton is a beast. Giants can make any running back look good. Just wait till we play Barkley, says Jay Snow. Is it possible Daboll got Mara support to do what he wanted while Shane and other bean counters wanted a different path, and that's why Daboll was on an island? Shane more aligned with the owner. Worst turf in the league, says Jeffrey. I bet that historically there are more season-ending injuries there than any other venue in the league, and it's been that way for years. Jay Snow says, I would love for the Giants to draft a stud linebacker. We haven't had one in a long time. Let's see. Let's see if he can lead them to several wins in a row. Let's see. Joey. Yes, they do need a real field, and it is frustrating with losing neighbors. Guys, you've been awesome today, as always. Thank you especially to all the super chatters. We had Chronicles, MJ, Dan, Joey B several times, Patrick, D-Kit, Franklin, Steve. Who else? Yeah, no, and that's Steve actually, I missed this one. He said, is it me or has Okereke lost a step? Bobby definitely not utilized the same way in this defense that he was in Winks, and also has failed to make some plays that we've seen him make in the past for sure. But, I think today is a day to be happy with the defense outside, of course, of that big touchdown run they gave up there. And always remember, on a touchdown run like that, I always get confused. Like Darius Alexander gets washed out down the line and the hole is gaping, and then the linebackers get blocked up. And so you see that the middle linebackers don't get there, and then Newbin is late to the angle. But it all starts because their D-line got pushed around on the play. So just remember, there's all those things factor in. But, Steve, thank you for the super chat, and thank you all for the super chat. Manzo points out that Dart had a connection with Lil Jordan Humphrey in the preseason. That's a good point. Hope they bring him up. He needs to big end zone target. Francis says, on a scale of 1 to 10 in comparison to league average, how was our offensive line today? I think they played tough and they moved the pile at some key points in the running game. They weren't able to do it in the red zone, but it felt like otherwise they were doing it pretty well. I mean, obviously Scattaboo only averaging 3.2 yards per carry isn't good enough. And then Dart was hit a bunch. He was sacked. What was it? 6 times? Let me double check. Dart was sacked 6 times and hit another 9. So, too many. But I would say, you asked me scale of 1 to 10. I would say today was a 6 as far as what I expect from this offensive line. And that's, I'm grading them on the curve. But no, they were tough today. Like, they gave them a chance to win the game. I mean, if they had different kinds of weapons, I think maybe it could look better. Their offensive line is not great, but they are tough. They were very tough today. Van Roten, that false start penalty in the red zone was just ridiculous. I mean, absolutely freaking ridiculous. But no, this is a game where you feel good about the way that you battled in the trenches and won at some key times, especially the defensive line leading the way. Jose says, glad to see the G-Men got a W. Thanks for all you do, Pat. Love it. Jose, you're the man. Appreciate you. So to close it out, first of all, remember, we'll be live. We're typically live Mondays and Thursdays as well, anywhere between 9 p.m. and 9:45 p.m. So the latest usually is just halftime of the Monday or Thursday night games. We also have guest podcasts every week. Stay tuned to those. Post-game live from New Orleans next week. Don't miss that one. And there was something else on my mind I was going to bring up. Oh, yeah, I think it bears mentioning because we've talked a lot about the big picture and about Dart and about play calling, things like that. But I really do think we need to finish describing how big of a game the defense had today. Like I said to Kayvon, how, is there any answer? Is there any way a team can answer your defense if your pass rush plays this way? And he said, shit, buckle up. That's all I can say. And, like I said, there's a recipe to it. Abdul Carter said it too. Like he said, we hunt when we get a lead and the game's getting late and the team's dropping back, and then we know it's go time, right? But they deserve so much credit. 8 pressures for Carter, 6 each for Burns and Thibodeau. Burns and Thibodeau with a sack. Abdul Carter with a forced intentional grounding that, like I said, I think that should be a sack. Average get-off time on the pass rush, the fastest was actually Thibodeau at 0.66 seconds, and then Burns 0.76, Abdul Carter 0.79, Dex 0.92. So those are all numbers from NFL Next Gen Stats. But really impressive, Bowen with the games that he was running up front. Burns was more roving around and inside, and Carter on the edge, and then they were stunting a lot with sending Carter back into the inside in Herbert's face. Definitely not a player that quarterbacks want to see coming at them 100 miles an hour. And it wasn't just Abdul Carter getting there. It was him getting there quickly. If you check out the New York Daily News coverage during the week, I actually wrote a story and talked to Abdul Carter exactly about that, about not just winning, but about winning quickly. And so that's what I think we saw today. So glad we were able to kind of forecast that a little bit. Let's see. H-Town says A.J. Brown has a massive tweet about his displeasure with the team. We should steal him away now. That's super interesting, especially after a win. See, guys, you could be upset with not getting the ball if your team's losing and you feel like you should, be contributing more. But when you start complaining when your team's winning, like, come on. Let me see if I can find this tweet here. Looks like it says, I think it's a Bible verse. If you're not welcome. All right, got it. Thank you. It says, if you're not welcomed, not listened to, quietly withdraw, don't make a scene, shrug your shoulders, and be on your way. He posted that an hour ago. Interesting. That's something to watch for sure. Joey B says, Pat, always a great show, the best in the game. See you tomorrow night. Get us some info on how we can get a wide receiver. Good call. James says, yes, this was a good show. Joey B says, thanks to Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, MyBookie, and Boom Chaga. Appreciate you. Francis says, what's the forecast for next week? The forecast is New Orleans is never an easy place to play, although New Orleans is 0-4. But they did give the Bills a hard time in this game. Like I think this Saints game will be a fight. I think this is another game where you're going to need the defense to lead the way and then the offense to piggyback off of it. That's what I would say. Lean on the blueprint that you found today to win one game and go win another. That's the way I look at it. Guys, this has been an amazing chat. Thank you so much for all your participation, your super chats, and please, 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 I always say this, please support our sponsors if you can. Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink is that natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally feel a post-workout like energy boost with Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health. With its beta-glucans and antioxidants, go to boomchaga.com today. Start feeling the difference with the code. Let me throw those codes up here one more time. It is, where did I throw those? So we got MyBookie is Leonard. Yeah, Boom Chaga, Talkin Ball 25. Use Talkin Ball 25 at boomchaga.com. You get I think it's a 25% discount on your first order there on the subscribe and save option. And then don't forget Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. The code there is Talkin Ball. MyBookie, the code is Leonard. Get in on the betting action, tailing Pat's picks this week and today. And Salaretta for Men in Midland Park, New Jersey, luxury menswear and tailoring. Go in there, tell them Pat sent you. Tell them you're trying to look great for a wedding, a formal event, whatever it is, just like I do for our Giants arrivals every week. Guys, this has been awesome. Great chat. We'll see you tomorrow night, Monday night, for the next Talkin Ball Live. Giants win 21-18. Brian Daboll gets off the mat. 1-3 going to New Orleans in week 5. See you soon.